I'm Susan Beattie, the author of Luke's Story, A Puppy's First Year on Palm Beach and Worth Avenue. And I want to take you through the process of how this book came to be. You'll get to meet Gregory and Luke. Luke is the star of the book, obviously, a little rescue puppy.
Today is the 1-year anniversary that I went to Big Dog Ranch and adopted this guy, Luke.
I received a text from Greg, and it said, it had a picture of a little black lab puppy, and he said, I'm adopting this dog. His name is Luke.
And it's hard to believe that it's already been a year that's gone by, but when we got him, he was a little puppy, and now he's grown into a big, healthy dog, and we love having him here. And he still always eats diamonds.
You'll also see Lori Simmons, the founder of Big Dog Ranch Rescue. I have dedicated this book to Big Dog Ranch Rescue and to Lori Simmons for all of her fabulous work in saving so many animals throughout the years.
Luke was a very, very, very special puppy because he was so sick with parvo, and really hour to hour we didn't know whether or not he was going to make it. And he was a strong little fella. We had people vet techs with him 24 hours a day round the clock, and with his IVs and his medical treatments, and he pulled through, and we're so happy for him and your family.
This has all been so exciting, and then seeing the photographs of them actually holding his little face in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, all that, we're putting it, it'll be in the book.
When we're approaching the emergency clinic, we're just like, come on, Luke, you can do it. And we're sprinkling the water on his gums because he was so sick.
Then we go on to taking him into the store. He kind of made himself at home, and the story will tell you all about how this happens, where he does walk to the door and he looks out, and it was special. So I had people stopping all the time at the door and asking about him. Then with all the people that were interested in what kind of a dog he was and so forth, I thought, you know, I should probably make a card that tells his story. And this was the card that I made for the awareness of Big Dog Ranch. And it says, help Luke help his rescue and get his friends at Big Dog Ranch Rescue homes. And from all of his little photos, I went and made just a small book. I hand wrote everything. I didn't even get on a computer yet. I just hand wrote by the photos and by the events of the year, from adoption to the holidays on the avenue. So once again, reading, I have just, you know, stacked like this of rewrites and doing a page over and adding and taking away. Kind of putting it all together and thinking, let's have Luke tell the story at the top of each page. Very simple text that a very young beginning reader could read, and then we will have, you know, the bottom or the other part of the story be the actual dialogue between the people that are in the story. And finally I thought, okay, I need to move on and start thinking about who would illustrate the book. And then I met Sandra, who you will meet in this DVD, and I loved her work. She's a Palm Beach artist. So we got together a couple days later, and she made a couple little basically was of her art as a first sampling, and she put Luke in. She just did little pencil drawings of him, and she showed this to me, and right away I was like, I love it. I mean, I think this is great. Let's, you know, show me more, basically.
It was such a charming Palm Beach story. I could see the validity of using my paintings in the background. And that was basically the way it started, because it's a true story of a rescue dog, Luke. Charming, charming story. I do a lot of cartooning anyway. I've worked in all kinds of mediums, and I thought, well, she has photographs, and I met the dog, but a lot of what she's describing in the book is not in a photograph, so why don't we go to a cartoon type thing as well? So we can have photographs, cartoons, as well as my background paintings. Now, I ended up doing custom paintings for this edition, in addition to some that had already been done. And I've done a bunch of cartoons, and so I've grown to love Luke in my own way. And he's a very special little dog, so it's been fun. And I could show you, if you like, how I do a cartoon of Luke, if you would like to see how that goes. My paintings are pretty self-explanatory, and this painting, I don't hold it up, this painting is of the front of the shop where Luke is going to be a greeter. He's going to be trained to be a greeter in this shop on Worth Avenue. So all of my paintings of Palm Beach, a lot of them fit in very nicely with this concept. But when I got into the cartooning, I can show you how I do a cartoon of Luke. Now, I've drawn quite a few of him, and of course, you know, they would be a little more labored, a little more intense, but I'll show you one thing he was doing when he was walking. Sue said he'd go into the villas, and they have statues in the villas, and of course, he was frightened by those statues. He didn't know what they were all about. He didn't like them at all. But I have him looking at this statue, and of course he's just afraid of it. He's going to cover his eyes. He hardly even wants to look at that statue. He thinks it's terrible. But this is Luke looking at a statue in one of the villas. And of course I had to keep in mind too that when the story began, Luke was just a little puppy, and here he is looking at this statue that absolutely kind of frightens him. He really doesn't want to have too much to do with it. But this is Luke looking at this statue, and he's really hiding himself because he's afraid of it. Now we'll see this. As I say, as I worked more on it, and you know, each drawing had to be done and had to be modified, whatever. There you go. And this is Luke in one of the villas off Worth Avenue looking at one of the statues. And then we just put a little wash on him. The story has Luke telling the story of how, you know, how all this is a new adventure, and how he was saved initially, and how he was adopted by Sue's son Greg, who has the jewelry store. And you just go in and you just put your shading in. Anyway, I don't know how many cartoons I've done, over 20 for the book. Well, I think there are about 18 or 20 in the book. Anyway, that's Luke being very afraid. There he is. Because the photographs you have are wonderful, and this is a real story. This is not a fiction. This is a real thing. So putting the two of them together and then the Palm Beach background seemed like a very natural way to go. But to think of these groups, this little litter of puppies put by the side of the road, I mean, the sadness of that. And none of your photographs go back to that when they were very little. And so it was great that we went a cartoon, because a cartoon, while it's funny in a way, can be very sad and very poignant. And I think we captured that. And Luke's story is poignant, his beginnings, and now it's rags to riches. Now he wears a top hat, and he goes in the pet parade with a top hat on.
And of course his signature red tie.
I've been working on this for about 3 months, I think. A book is a deadline. Once you get into it, you want to see it through. So I've been working pretty intensely on this and enjoying every bit of it. Of course, when you get involved in a project of this size, it's always sad when it ends, because it's been your baby. It's been, you know, I dream about it. I think of things at night when I'm sleeping, and it's just with you all the time. And it's wonderful.
And graphic designer Melissa Eaton, who is fantastic at taking all of the images and the text and putting it graphically together to make this book.
I met Sue, and we got to talking, and I ended up helping her set up the layout and design of the book. What goes into it is you have to keep in mind, and obviously we have a lot of artwork that's really important that we have involved in the book, and what's important is to display that in the best and most complementary way to the actual story. So that has been my job, along with margins, typography. As you can see behind me, it's we've been working pretty hard on it. Every page has its own little personality, and it's been a really great project. Here we are on the cover. A couple of the things that we have to think about is text here. We have to make sure that it's very easy to read. If we're going to do capital letters, lowercase, serif, sans serif fonts, it all is relevant to the feeling of the book, and that's important. I'm going to show you here how we put in different pieces of Sandy's artwork. And then Luke's story here, and here's a bunch of the different pictures that we have that are throughout the book. And I'm looking for one called Red Tie, so I can put him on. Here he is, Photoshop, open, putting him right here. I'm going to resize this photo so that he's sitting right on top like he's supposed to. This is kind of the process. This is how it works when we're trying to put the pictures together, make sure that they're cohesive and everything makes sense, and the scale is appropriate for the entire book. So this is the cover, and here's some other pages. I have to resize the art, make sure that it's just absolutely beautiful. We've got our characters in here, so it's been a process. It has been tedious work, but it has been worth every minute.